in a different order than
Can I say something?
Go right ahead, lay on.
I mean, I want to thank the other speakers for setting up these questions. I guess I'm the only non-Marxist on the panel, but I'm also a student of Marxism, so it may get to sound a little bit Marxist here. But let me just say, you can't tell the players without a program. I am from the side of Plato and Machiavelli, and the class analysis I give you is Machiavelli. Maybe I'm even more demonized than they are. And I think, though, that we've raised the main questions of organization and program and having a perspective and mass organizing.
Right.
In other words, questions of mass struggle, because I think those are the ones. Now, if I can just make my opening statement, you know, Dave.
That's right. I know you're doing your thing. All right.
We are now in a colossal crisis of world civilization. If we're lucky, we may be able to get out of this by about 2012 or 2015. Probably the most immediate thing that hasn't perhaps been talked about so much is we are now in an economic and financial breakdown crisis, which is worldwide. We are facing a worldwide banking panic. The entire German banking system is in a phase of panic. Citibank, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, Bank of America, these institutions are all intrinsically bankrupt at the present moment. They're being kept going by the spritzer, the constant injection of capital by the central bank system. If we look at the month of August and beginning of September, probably about $1.5 trillion have been so-called injected as liquidity into the world banking system to try to stave off chain reaction bankruptcies and banking panics. And we have had a banking panic. We've had a panic run on Countrywide Bank in California on the 17th and 18th of August. So the entire banking system is coming down. It is on life support, and we are in the middle of this. It's not just subprime, it's not just mortgages, it's not even just junk bonds. It is a total panic coming at the end of a worldwide asset bubble. The perspective, therefore, is a banking panic and a dollar panic. The question now is, on September 18th, there's a meeting of the Federal Reserve Board. Helicopter Ben Bernanke, so-called because he believes you can fight a depression by injecting liquidity, throwing bales of dollars out of a helicopter. He's under tremendous pressure. He's almost certainly going to lower the interest rates of the Fed funds, the interbank lending rate. And at that point, we've already got a very weak dollar. The dollar is at an all-time low compared to the euro, more or less, 25-year low compared to the British pound, Canadian dollar, so on down the line. The dollar could hardly be weaker. The U.S. is running a $2 billion per day trade deficit. $2 billion per day plus. It's heading towards a $1 trillion per year trade deficit. So the dollar is extremely weak. Now, China, Japan, Saudi Arabia, they each have about $1 trillion. There's another $1 trillion sloshing around. What happens if there's a mass panic rush out of the dollar? At that point, the dollar crashes. My personal perspective, which I put forward in mid-August, is that Helicopter Ben has, in effect, chosen hyperinflation. Not because he wanted hyperinflation. He's trying to avoid an immediate deflationary crash of everything. So he's spritzing in the money. Remember in the 1970s we had stagflation. We had to invent a new word for a crisis that had no precedent. Today I would have to call it hyper-depression. In other words, a situation where you've got the effects of a deflationary crash, factory closings, mass layoffs, mass poverty, plus the problem of hyperinflation. Today, oil has reached practically the all-time high, within a few cents. And I urge you to watch the price of milk. As the price of a gallon of milk goes above $5 per gallon, that will be your personal price index barometer on hyperinflation. As the dollar crashes, which I think is going to happen after the 18th, since everything is now imported, those prices are going to go up, 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 up. The money that's been injected, the $500 billion, is also excess liquidity. This is all going on around us right now. Now, that's one phase. The other phase we've talked about a little bit also today, the Cheney group, the Cheney faction, strictly speaking, it's the George Shultz, Rupert Murdoch, and Warren Buffett wing of the ruling class. They are in a Goethe-Dämmerung mood. They're in apocalyptic mood. It's the twilight of the neocon gods. Right? Libby has been convicted. Lord Black, even more important, not noticed. Lord Conrad Black has been sent up.
Oh, yeah?
And he was giving, yes, he's been convicted. He was giving the money to the American Enterprise Institute, and Lynn Cheney was getting that money, and Ledeen, and Frum of the Axis of Evil, and other of these neocon plug others. So we have all that. And again, I think this is extremely urgent. It's a real progress that we got through August with no attack. It's real progress that we got through today with no attack. This is now the dark of the moon. If we get through tonight, no, I'm not kidding, this is when you're going to make an attack. Because they have these slow-moving stealth bombers, slow-moving cruise missiles. If you can see them, you can shoot them just with a machine gun. So they have to attack, most likely, unless they're so crazy that they're going to do something unpredictable, which is possible.
Right.
It's going to be...
Are you talking about the attack on Iran? Is that what you're talking about? Right. We're right at the... That was one of my questions.
That's the question of the new 9/11. And for me, the study of 9/11 for the past 3 years or so has been inseparable from the question of the new 9/11. I guess as long as I've been studying 9/11, I've been studying it from the point of when's the next one? And it's got to escalate. Because terrorism is like heroin, right? The more you shoot it, the more you need. And the dose always goes up. And the attack on Iran, as we've heard, or it's either Iran or Pakistan, Obama, or Biden says bomb Sudan. There's another one. Venezuela's always there. They're making nice with North Korea. It's a trick just to take care of Iran and then turn on North Korea. So we have all that. Now, the interesting part, though, is the political crisis, because I am convinced that we are now in the throes of a party realignment. In other words, these are the moments that have come in American history every 32, 36, 40 years. This is now a tremendous crisis of the party system. Look, I'll just give you my short account. I see the U.S. party system splintering 6 ways, 7 ways. Rudy McRomney, traditional top-down, fascistoid Republican economics, more of the same. Tancredo, Vexophobia. Scapegoat Mexicans, scapegoat wetbacks, illegals for the crisis. Ron Paul, that would be a libertarian version of this whole thing. It's nice that he's anti-war, but I can't get beyond that Herbert Hoover collar that he's got on. He wants to take away your Social Security, your Medicare, your Medicaid, your Head Start, your WIC for expectant mothers, your unemployment insurance. He basically wants to ruin whatever we have that makes life possible in this country. God knows it's not much. The neocons of the Democratic Party, the warmonger Democrats, it's the whole leadership. Hillary, Edwards, Obama, Biden, Pelosi, Reid. God. Okay. Yeah, don't forget him. But then there's an anti-war Democratic base, which right now basically has no leader. Nobody really speaks for them. And then you've got Bloomberg, Hagel, petty bourgeois good government. And then you got secessionism, because the founders are going with secessionism in places like Vermont and Alaska and so forth. Now, what are you going to do about that? Well, basically you have to intervene in it. I thought originally it might be a neat party realignment, like 1932, where the parties flip, where the majority party becomes the minority and vice versa, but I don't think we're going to have that now. I think we're now in a position where either one or both of these parties could break apart. They're sort of like two drunks that prop each other up. If one falls, the other one falls too, because the only reason to be in one is the other is so horrible. And that applies. Now, therefore, I think you have to go back to the 1850s. In other words, I think we're in the worst political crisis since the pre-Civil War era. And that can mean the need to found a new party. And if it's a Labor Party, I'm all for it. You just have to think what that would mean now, since Labor is such a small component of the population, or what kind of a party this would be. We had a meeting in Philadelphia on July 4th. I want you to know, the Philadelphia platform. And we essentially said the following, right, that right now the entire anti-war base of the Democratic Party seems to me to be where it's happening. Okay. In the sense that they have been betrayed. Right? They were told, vote for us, we'll impeach Bush. Reneged. Yep. Conyers is a clever demagogue. He says, Mrs. Pelosi says she's taking impeachment off the table. But I've put impeachment back on the table. Yeah, wait a minute. Are you going to bring a bill of impeachment? Yes or no, and when?
Right.
I put it on the table. What does that mean? That could mean anything you want, right? Commitment to do nothing, and they all went wild. I was amazed how dumb people are.
They're grasping at straws.
They're grasping at straws. They betrayed on Iraq, on impeachment, on FISA wiretaps. They're going to vote another $50 billion. And the word we have from leaders of the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives is the entire leadership, the top leaders of the Democratic Party, have signed on to the attack on Iran. They're eager. Mrs. Clinton can't contain herself. She says, there's going to be another terror attack. The Republicans would benefit unless you have me.